First and Now is the official BC Lions podcast. Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski back with you inside the Wall Center on Burrard Street. The Go-Goat Sports / Sakaris and Price man cave, if you will. Nick, good to be talking to you again.
Yep, good to be back. Another month down.
The calendar now reads April.
Yeah, we're 1 month closer to camp.
Recording this on April the 4th. I think we are, just some quick math off the top of my head, about 36, 37 days now until we drive to Kamloops. Kind of a soft launch, if you will, with the rookies, the first-year Lions on the field first, then the veterans roll in for the start of main camp. Last year, of course, that was interrupted a little bit with some labor stuff, but we're past that, and it's funny when you look at it that way. It is going to feel like the first normal camp since 2019.
Yeah.
Given how 2020 did not happen, 2021 we went in July, and it was very much touch and go, returning to play. Health and safety protocols was far from a normal camp, far from a normal season. Last year we were going with that language. First kind of felt normal, but then the CBA kind of made things a little stupid there for a few days. But we got a full season in, and we'll get a very much from the start of camp. It'll feel real. It'll feel normal, and I'm excited. I know there's a lot happening behind the scenes. We're waiting to see what might happen as far as our season kickoff and the pregame concert. No word yet, but hoping to have some developments this month. It was exciting times here these last few days.
Yeah, it's always fun to do our marketing day shoot, which we wrapped up last weekend, or it was last Friday, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah, really cool set design. It was a really a team effort on it, and it was can't really reveal too much yet, but really excited to share it all once we're able to. And yeah, the players are fired up. It was good seeing the players too. A bunch of them were in town for the weekend. Saw they were together outside of town too. Hanging out, so that was cool to see, and yeah, it's really a lot of exciting stuff to come.
I was involved more with this back in 2016. I just started with the team, and that was when they did the Adidas rebrand.
Yeah.
So, like this year, I think, I don't really have a sense, though, of what some of the other teams are doing this year, but that time, the Adidas, the Lions were pretty much the only team to completely revamp everything. They went to the darker orange with the black trim and the different helmet logo. It was very much a rebrand, and that was fun to be a part of, but it is going to be exciting, and I know you, Liam, and Steven, and the entire crew are excited to keep rolling those images and videos out once it becomes public, perhaps next week. That's all we're going to say about that right now. Again, we're going to talk to Marcus Sayles shortly, one of the leaders now on this BC Lions defense. Heck of a player entering year 3 with the club, a Grey Cup champion with Winnipeg. But since our last recording, and we encourage everyone to go download, if you have not already, our alumni series, which we're taking a break from this week. We're going to keep it current this week, but good interview, great interview actually last week with Bobby Singh. We had Paul McCallum. Speaking of Solomon El-Mimian, we had him on to talk about the Hall of Fame, and we'll look to get back to some of the alumni interviews between now and the start of training camp in May, but we did have some exciting news. The BC Lions later last week, Thursday I believe it was, announcing the Wall of Fame inductions. So the club's Wall of Fame, of course, back in 2003 was started by the late, great Bob Ackles as a way to further honor some of the club's great players and builders. Excellent. You have to make excellent contributions to be on the Wall of Fame, and I think it's fair to say that these gentlemen have. Wally Buono, CFL's all-time winningest coach, and the Waterboys founding members, talking about former President Dennis Skulski, as well as Maury Keith, Tom Malone, Jamie Pitt-Plato. The Waterboys, of course, designed to generate some more interest amongst the corporate community, and they did a lot of great things when Mr. Ackles brought that into fruition. The Waterboys winning the Commissioner's Award in 2005 following a great Grey Cup festival they helped organize. So, well earned to see these individuals who will officially be enshrined on August the 12th.
Yep, yeah, definitely very important members of this organization. Wally Buono, true winner, true leader. His 5 Grey Cup wins, that still ties him with Don Matthews, Hugh Campbell, Lou Heyman, and Frank Clare for the most all-time among CFL head coaches. So very impressive there. Franchise's all-time leading winner. the CFL's all-time leading winner. So, and then the Water Boys as well. Yeah, very, very well deserved.
I was lucky enough to work under Wally. Starting here in 2016, had covered him as a member of the media, working in radio, and it's kind of funny to look back on. One of the things I love most about Wally is he would always make you feel welcome. He would always treat you, with the respect you deserve. And I mean that because covering my first Lions practices for the radio station back in 2007, 2008, this was a time when the day-to-day media coverage was quite different than what it is now. I mean, you had a presence at practice every day with at least 2 newspaper writers. You'd have Lowell Ulrich, Mike Beamish. You'd have 2 or 3 TV cameras. But Wally would make sure everyone got a chance to ask their questions and give them, trust me, I've been known to ask stupid questions, especially back in those days. But I always kind of was impressed and made me feel welcome. Having, it's an intimidating thing for a young guy to walk into. It's the winningest coach of all time, like we discussed. So, but again, then had the privilege of being in the building and just seeing how he was seeing how he conducted business, and again, treating everyone with the same amount of respect. Didn't matter what role you played in the organization. And again, for BCLions.com, as our online content and our written coverage escalated and became more of a day-to-day thing, he would always make time. He would always make time for our website, and this is well-earned. And without Wally Buono, who knows the fortune of this franchise back just after the turn of the century. Immediately made them respectable, and the Water Boys, those founding members, had a big part in that as well. And we'll get Wally on soon here one of these days, perhaps leading up to the event on August 12th. But well-earned. Always loved the Wall of Fame and giving those guys their due.
Yeah, it's definitely from your perspective, it's great that you've got me able to work with him. But from mine, you just hear great stories about Wally. You do hear that he was very accommodating to everybody. Great. He was someone that everyone enjoyed following as a leader of this organization. So, it's going to be exciting in August.
Always used to let us sample some of his food sometimes, too.
Oh, really?
He'd stop by our cubicles in the middle of a hallway like they were back then. Hey,
didn't know that.
Try these meatballs. Hey, I can't share the recipe, but here you go. Good times. Congratulations. August 12th, Legends Night. We talked a lot about our game themes in last week's episode, and the Wall of Fame definitely always a highlight. The training camp roster, I don't want to say it's set yet because there will be some draft picks added in about 4 weeks' time. Always potentially some last-minute additions, maybe some subtractions, but some 4 additions to the roster, 4 Americans. Again, these battles, particularly in the backfield, going to heat up. But wide receiver Kevin Shaw, who had a cup of coffee with the Chicago Bears at training camp last year, he's been signed, as is running back Vance McShane. He transferred from St. Xavier to Northern Iowa, put up some pretty good numbers at St. Xavier in the NAIA. Brooks Parker, a linebacker, a Delaware State product, put up some good numbers there. Xavier Williams, defensive back. Again, we're talking to Marcus Sayles today, and Xavier is going to be one of those guys pushing some of the veterans, trying to anyway for a spot. Williams was at Northern Iowa and then Iowa as well. So that's, again, got to have bodies. You got to have guys ready to step up. Right now, these are just names on a depth chart, but it's always interesting and exciting to see what type of contributions they can put forth on the field. Yeah,
and especially in McShane's case, he's a 5'6" running back, and as we've talked before with Coach Rick, we've talked before here, the running back competition is just wide open going into training camp. So that just adds another body. That makes it 5 now, I believe, on the roster, 5 running backs that just have all equal chance to become the starting running back this season. So it'd be exciting to see him. And then, the DBs, there's always a few that stand out. To receivers as well, same thing. There's always a few that stand out. And then you got another linebacker too, which who knows, maybe he can contribute on teams. And Brooks Parker and another roster spot there.
Got a scoop for you. Likely to be 6 American running backs because we haven't really kicked this around. Taquan Mazzell, who was slated to come to camp last year, I believe was one of those guys who had visa issues, passport issues, one of those guys, remember the question was, who's going to push James Butler? Well, that was supposed to be
The name, yeah.
So just talking to Neil McAvoy, going over some little tidbits on the roster, who's coming, who's not coming. Taquan Mazzell, they expect to be activated. So 6 running backs potentially in the fold. Yeah. Love it. That's going to be focusing on that for much of camp. Mm-hmm. So very exciting.
Yeah, that first week we get a really good feel of who's going to be standing out in that backfield.
Right. All right. Speaking of the defensive backfield, we'll make way for Marcus Sayles here on First and Now, the official BC Lions podcast. And we have our guest on the line now, a West Division All-Star last season and in 2019, also a CFL All-Star in 2022, Grey Cup champion with the Blue Bombers in 2019, and as we found out today, shares a birthday with Nick Kowalski here. It is Marcus Sayles joining us. Marcus, how's that for an opening?
No, that's awesome. I didn't even know he had the same birthday, so happy birthday, bro.
So when we're practicing on October 1st, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's October 1st.
So when we're practicing and the fellas do a birthday, Rick usually gets the birthdays going. Mm-hmm. Coach Rick will make sure Nick is included in that.
Yeah, he can be right
as well.
Well, we had it nice last year. It was on a Saturday night, and it was the day after a big win against the Red Blacks. Mm-hmm. So it was lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
So you guys were out at 12 West or whatever that place is called, where Gary Peters goes
downtown. It was a good night though. We had a lot of guys came to support me for my birthday, and I think we had a really good win, earlier that in the day. So it was a good day in total.
It was, and we're looking for more of those in 2023. And just judging by, it's going to be just after our Orange Shirt Day game again, Saskatchewan here on September the 29th. So. But a lot of football, a lot of practicing, training camp still to come before that. But I've been meaning to get you on here for a while, Marcus. You're deciding to live here year round in the off season. We see you in this facility most days working out with some of the guys. Mm-hmm. How's that been, and what went into that staying in Vancouver?
Honestly, it's been a blessing. This is my first time staying in Canada. Even when I was on the other teams, and for me to have my spot here and be able to work out with the team. The way I've been doing, and I just been grinding. I have that mentality that, I want to be able to do more than I did last year. I want to be an all-star again. I want to be, the peak at my position, the best of my position. And, I've kind of always been that way. So, me, kind of treating this off season as such is how I've, been doing this whole time. So I'm excited to be out here, excited to, see what this season holds, see what the future holds with me. And, I'm just blessed.
Another big part of that is you've been pretty active out in the community, various school visits. How much pride do you take in giving back like that?
No, that's been a big thing in this offseason too. When we go to these events, a lot of these kids, they're so excited to see us. They're so just ready just to give us their attention and just, to hear us out and hear out whatever we have to say. But it's been a blessing. There's been a lot of kids, they message me on Instagram just saying, thank you for coming to our school. Thank you for, talking to us about, whatever you talked about for the day. And, it's cool just to see these smiles on these kids. Cause it's uplifting. I don't get a chance to, do stuff like this. Or, a lot of people don't get a chance to, talk to kids but you're really impacting their lives when, you come out there and talk to them, especially when we have this platform that we have. So.
Is there any top moment, Marcus, from these visits that stands out to you and just from going to these schools?
Yeah, I've one specific one came up. There was a kid at one of the Be More presentations that we had. He just had a follow-up question, and he asked me something that was pretty in-depth, pretty hits close to home, and I said it in front of the the whole school, and it was pretty personal, but at the same time, it helped him with his day. These messages that we have, sometimes it can relate to some of these kids because maybe they grew up the same way we grew up, or, maybe they're experiencing something that, maybe they don't know how to bring up to a teacher or to somebody that's close to them. So when we come to have these conversations and they, they're really listening, they really take it into account. They really apply it to their day. So when I was talking about before, when they message me on Instagram or anything, it uplifts my heart because, it really feels like I'm being impactful to these kids. So.
For sure. And then back to spending your first full year or off season here. What's the verdict on the winter in Vancouver? I'm curious to know, because you've seen the even like the October to November in Winnipeg, and even when you're with Minnesota, you were there, I believe, in November. That gets pretty cold, but how does it compare to Vancouver?
Honestly, this offseason hasn't been too bad. Like it's been pretty cold, I guess, for the most part. I mean, but decently cold is nothing like in the freezing. I don't think. I think we've only had 2 snow days, maybe, or a third snow day. But for the most part, it's been good. I've been able to train just like I was able to when I was back home in Georgia, and I just appreciate being out here. I'm enjoying my time. I'm enjoying hanging out with the guys. Having conversation with guys that we don't really have so much in the season, and just expanding being out here in the city and just doing things we haven't been able to do with my girlfriend out here too. So yeah, it's been a blessing.
What are some of the off-season activities you've been getting up to outside of on your downtime? Because I know you're usually a beach guy in the summer, right? But is that still the same in the winter?
No, not exactly. Me and my girlfriend, we've been able to just take a couple trips. We went to Whistler, a little bit before the season ended. We're just trying new restaurants and just new things that we haven't been able to do. She's working out with me, so whenever I'm not at the facility, I'm training with her, trying to get her bench reps up and whatnot, like we're about to have a combine. But no, it's been really cool, and I enjoy staying out here.
Got a taste of success last year, playoff success, a big step for our franchise, and I don't have to remind you, came up 1 game short against your old squad. I mean, how much does that play into the motivation for you getting ready? How hungry are you for another step and to get back to that championship level? Because it's been since 2019 for you, but you must be hungry again, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm always excited and ready by the time camp starts to just be going full head on by the time camp starts. I'm what I do in the off season really translates, and I feel like I've always been able to put my best foot forward. This off season, like I said, it's been good, but I'm not motivated just to win championships. I'm internally motivated. I'm one of those guys that just always want to see myself do the best. I want to if I bench 225 10 times today, I want to do it 12 times the next week, 14 the next, and just keep going up. And that's just always been the mindset I've had. I've never thought anybody was better than me. And if they were better than me, I'm going to find a way to beat them. And if I had to see them again, they're going to feel me this time. So I don't think winning championships is my ultimate motivation. I love to do it, and that's why we're here. We're here to win championships. We're here to, have these experience with these guys on these teams for the amount of years that we've been. But my internal motivation is just self-motivated. I just want to see myself do the best. And when I put my best foot forward and we win championships, that just comes along with it. But I'm not going to change the way I train. I'm not going to change the way I approach, certain situations. I'm always just 100% in everything I do. So, hopefully a lot of championships will just come, with that mindset.
Coach Rick has preached this word more than once, continuity. TJ and Gary both re-signing. A couple of the younger guys like Moget and Rugamba, Jalen Edwards-Cooper, another name there, all coming back. I mean, that has to be a great benefit as well, does it not? Having some of those key pieces back in the secondary?
Yeah, for sure. And even past just the football side, those are my guys. Those are my guys the last 2 years that I've been here. And, for them to have been impactful with the team and been able to make as many plays that they have with the team, it was important that, we was able to get them back. And, now that we do, I feel like the sky's the limit. TJ, he's been one of those guys in this league for a couple years or a lot of years. And, he's been a force to reckon with this whole time. Same thing with G. Manny's coming up, in his own respect. And, whoever is going to be out there at, the other corner or the other safety spot, the coaches are going to do a great job of bringing somebody in and, making sure we continue this ride. I don't think we lost too many defensive pieces. So hopefully, going into camp and going into the beginning of the season, we're 100% go. And, I feel like a lot of these offices are going to have a big problem with that. So.
You got yourself, Gary Peters, TJ Lee, all guys with 5 years of experience now in the CFL. Then you got your coach by Ryan Phillips, who has another decade of experience in the CFL. How does that dynamic all work when it comes to leadership?
Yeah, it's huge. For me, I'm more one of those guys that, can lead by example. I'm one of those guys that's always going to show up early. I'm always going to be one of those guys that give my 100% all in practice or in meetings or in workouts or whatever we do. So I feel like a lot of guys kind of respect me in that way. TJ and G, they're more of the more vocal leaders. Not that they don't, excel on the field as well, but they're one of those guys that, the team kind of, comes around because they're the vocal leaders. They know, how to, approach a situation. They know what to say to certain guys and, how to uplift them and get the best out of it. So for us, all three of us to, be veterans in this DB crew, I think we have the potential to really, stand out and really, make a name for ourselves. So hopefully we can continue this process and continue growing. And, I think we're going to be at the top of the charts again. So.
And then what's it been like working with RP now too? Like he has like we talked about the experience he has in the CFL, but also the swagger he brings to that room, right?
Yeah, he's a great guy. One of my best coaches I've ever been around. He's very intellectual, very, detailed about everything he does when it comes to, him in our meetings or him just doing like the individuals that we have. He's, our defensive coordinator now. So he's, been putting all his little wrinkles into the defense and, just making it his own. But, a lot of guys really enjoy being around him. He has this aura, he has this presence around him that makes people want to play for him. And that's what, I enjoy about it. I enjoy, him being able to have like his own personality, but also being able to get serious when it's time to get serious. We can joke around a lot in the meeting room and we can have a good time, but when it's time to go, it's time to go. And he makes sure that, we're going to be ready. And, he's decorating in his own art. So, listening to him and all his experience, it's going to help me in the future. So I enjoy him as a coach.
You guys talking about any new celebrations or dance or moves yet, or is that something for training camp?
Definitely is going to come in training camp, but RP, he is one of those guys that always want to have something in his back pocket. You see him on film, he's running down the sideline, trying to celebrate with all of us, and sometimes he comes up with more dances before I even do. So he's a player's coach, and people do respect him like that. So
then when it comes to you and Gary, both named CFL All-Stars last season, both put up career highs in interceptions. What do you think the main factor was for that change? You guys play a lot together too on the same side, if I'm not mistaken, as well, right?
Yeah, sure. Me and G, he's a great guy, a great corner, and he's going to continue to make great plays. When I came in, I feel like me and him both pushed each other to be the best at what we do. He's very, outgoing. He's very, headstrong, and I'm more of the, laid back type of guy. But our mission, in both of our heads and in our own retrospect, is just to be great and to win championships. And for him to, come in and challenge me the way he did, and the same thing for me to challenge him the way he did, I feel like it really, brought the best out of us. And sometimes we may have our little, little battles and little, arguments here and there, but it's all out of love. It's all out of respect for each other, and we just want to see each other grind and grow. And I was able to see him a little bit last year at the end of the season, and we really do have a pretty close camaraderie, and I just think it's just going to get further or higher even from here. So he's going to be a dog in these next couple of years too. So.
Yeah, you guys are a pretty dang good duo last season, and I'm sure it'll be the same coming up. One more guy I want to ask you, but I'm curious to know your thoughts. But you're familiar with free agent signing Mike Jones back from your Winnipeg days together. So what's me and Matt Baker? We still haven't met Mike yet. So what's he like as a person, and what can Lions fans expect from him this season?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think he came into the league in 2019. I think that was my second year with Winnipeg, and when I first met him, you can just tell that he was going to be one of these emerging stars in the league. I can tell just by his footwork. I can tell by his, just his placements, and he's just real detailed in what he does. I look at his Instagram and see all the posts that he makes now. He's been, training hard because he's down there in Atlanta with G. So I think when he comes in here, y'all are going to, feel, what he's really trying to bring to this team. He's already been a starter. He has a great cup already, so he has that experience. And he's going to come in and he's just going to want to work. He's going to want to do everything he can to win another ring. And, his energy is electric. He's very talkative. He's one of those guys that you can laugh with all day. And, people are going to respect him in that way too. So I'm excited for him to get to come up here in camp and, just see the difference in cities too. The difference from Winnipeg to here, even though I know he just came from Montreal, but yeah, he's going to be a dog and he's going to be able to help us win some championships. So
4 years at West Georgia. And this is straight from your college bio. And we made note of this when we originally signed you in 2021, Marcus, but, you had 13 kick blocks over 4 years. That's not often you see that. What was the key there? You were quite the opportunistic player even back then.
Yeah, I think it kind of started when I was in high school. I wasn't really, the biggest guy, the fastest guy coming out of high school. I didn't play football really until my freshman year, and I didn't really start until my senior year. So by the time my senior year came, I knew I wanted to play football. I knew I wanted to go to college and, make it a career out of this. So all these little things like blocking kicks and going hard on special teams was just something that, I thought I could excel at. I thought it was going to be my edge, when it came to getting scholarships or being able to make it to the league. Like I said, I'm not the biggest guy, I'm not the fastest guy, but I'm going to give 100% on everything I do. And, the coaches were, they had the idea that, I was just able to be fast enough. I was able to get off the edge and, that I work on that. I train, countless days. I'm, doing speed work, or if I'm just doing power stuff, lower body lifts, I'm always trying to do anything I can to make sure I have that edge over somebody. And, I think that's just what it paid off. High school, I blocked a lot of kids. College, I blocked a lot of kids. I think in this league, I've only blocked a couple, but I can go get them. So whenever our coaches comes up with a block, just make sure you got your protection right, because I'm coming.
Well, you had it was either a block or you scooped it and scored it against us in 2019. What do you remember about that big play? You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Me and Mackie were actually talking about that a lot this season. There was a deep ball, I think that, I don't know if I defended or I was running to it. I was coming down. It was third down, and BC was punting the ball. I was coming down. I was really tired. Once I put my hand on the ground, they hiked the ball, and I was just like, oh, shoot. So I just immediately started running. And I think with me coming down late kind of messed up the protection. So they probably didn't count me. So I was kind of free off the edge, was able to block it, scoop it for a touchdown, and kind of the rest is history. So,
yeah, one of the more wacky moments of of that whole season. I think that was the night Matt Nichols got hurt. Does that ring a bell? I think.
Yeah, it probably was around that time.
And then
Valeros came in around then.
Then it was the week. I think it was the week after. The week after, maybe 2 weeks later, they were having the Packers Raiders exhibition game there. So they were getting ready to. Keon Hatcher played in that,
and
James Butler played in that, because they each told us about that experience on this very podcast. Hey, we're thrilled you're on our side now, and just in closing here, before we let you go, we're just over a month away. The excitement really must be creeping in.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm probably one of those guys that are more excited than most guys at this point of the season. We still got another month or so, and I'm always telling guys, I'm like, yo, it's right around the corner. Just I hope, you're doing everything you need to do, because once we're in camp, it's full go. It's probably going to be a little bit hotter. I heard we're supposed to be reaching like record numbers in heat by the time we're in camp, and just like throughout the summer. But, I'm excited. I'm excited every single year to start the season off strong. It's a long season. We're going to be up here for, a couple of months. So just being able to keep my body, in check, and, just being able to elevate myself than I was last year. I think things that I can improve on is just, it's countless. And I think coaches are going to do great jobs of putting me in the position to, be successful. And it's up to me to just be able to make those plays whenever I do, or whenever I'm in that situation. So, I'm excited. I'm ready. And hopefully this is the year.
Yes, sir. We'll let you go practice those dance moves in the meantime, and
a couple black flips.
Yes, we'll.
That's in your arsenal too, right? The flip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pulled that out in Regina last year, right?
Right. Try to do it wherever I can.
Yeah.
We'll talk again soon, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Marcus.
Excellent stuff with Marcus Sayles, and you can hear the excitement and hunger in his voice as, again, this Lions team We know what they're capable of. Now it's about taking that next step. You can't do it right away. All you can do now is ensure that you're in a position to be a factor in November, host another playoff game. I think anything less than that would be a disappointment. But again, it's all about what you do in November.
Yeah, exactly. And one of those guys who's made Vancouver his year-round home. You see so many of them moving here now and just building up that camaraderie with the team. And I know he's really looking forward to that. And he was with us last week, too, at the Marketing Day show, and he was really excited and in his element, too. So it was a lot of fun with Marcus.
One of our favorite guys, and again, speaks to how close these guys are staying around town in Vancouver, in the Lower Mainland. Promote what else we have going at bclions.com. Stephen Chang has written a nice feature on linebackers coach Travis Brown and the influence his father had. He gets ready for season number 3 in the Lions Den. We've talked a lot about First and Now. We encourage you to go back and check out some of the alumni series. So content-wise, we're still pumping it out, loving it. It's really going to heat up, like we're saying, starting next week, and we're excited to keep rolling that out. Wanted to promote as well, head coach Rick Campbell will appear on the Mark Cast with our friend Reed Johnson this week. Reed, of course, joined us on stage at the Lions Den in Regina on the Saturday of Grey Cup week, I think it was, and I was lucky to go on his live stream from the casino in Regina, so sat in, listened to his pre-record with Rick Campbell, and, Reed loves playing that up, the America's CFL team thing, and asking Rick if he was okay with being branded as America's CFL coach, and, Rick, he's all about that, so look for that out on Friday morning, the Markcast.
I think without bias, we're the most fun team in the CFL. So if
without question.
I know if you're not a CFL fan, you probably wouldn't be randomly listening to this, but if you're looking for a CFL team, I would definitely recommend the BC Lions.
Yeah,
so we talked about the celebrations with Marcus too. That the defensive back room, they have a lot of fun and a lot of swag, and I think it's a overall enjoyable team to root for.
A lot of trash talking too.
Yeah,
so
America's team,
America's CFL
Canada's
team. Props to
take it all.
Yeah, it's Saskatchewan that calls themselves Canada's team, right? They try to anyway, but we'll be America's CFL team. Nothing wrong with that at all. Any tidbits for you inside the Lions Den? What's going on with you?
Well, road trips are starting for me again, which is kind of exciting. We'll be going.
Yes.
I'm heading up to Prince George for the Play with the Pros on Thursday, so my first time up north. I haven't been north of, I want to say, Sicamous would be the most northern I've been in British Columbia, so that's not really that north, right? So I hear
it's more inland than north, is it not, Sicamous?
Well, on a map, it's technically the most north I've been. That's what I was getting at, but excited to do that. Play with the Pros is always a lot of fun, so we got a couple players coming up there too, and we're doing a pub night the night before, which will be fun to capture. And then on the weekend, myself and Liam Thompson are headed to Tacoma for a 7-on-7 camp with Vernon Adams Jr., which will be really fun because it's not just Vernon Adams and a bunch of receivers and DBs. It's strictly BC Lions players. So it's going to be Lucky Whitehead, Keon Hatcher, Dominique Grimes, Gary Peters, Marcus Sayles. So it's going to be a lot of fun to capture that. You'll really see the camaraderie this team has already built and how close these guys are and all the fun they're having and the buy-in, especially from Vernon Adams Jr. So it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to capturing that all as well.
That's outstanding. And again, speaks to just how close these guys are. Guys flying in or driving down to Tacoma from wherever they live. And yeah, it's going to be fun for you and Liam to do that. I think I've been to Prince George, and I think that's the most north I've ever been.
It's pretty far up there.
Yeah.
Right?
It's about, if you wanted to drive there from Vancouver, it's probably a good 8 hours. I think looking at a map, it's pretty much dead center in the province, and we still call it northern BC, I think, but still pretty far up there. Good on you, and yeah, good on the club, Jamie Terrace, Parker Hall, Brittany, everyone involved in our community partnerships, community relations, and
Ethan's coming up as well.
Ethan, yeah. can't forget him, and it's just. We've been doing these programs for a long time, the Play with the Pros clinic especially, but seeing it go to different parts. Last year, you guys did Kelowna.
Yeah.
I think they did something similar on, not Play with the Pros, but they did go to Vancouver Island for a couple more promos, and very much excited. All right, we're jacked up. Safe travels. Pack your parka, pack your toque and gloves for Prince George.
I hear rain, not snow.
Okay. Well, that could change.
Okay.
And we'll look forward to hearing all the great stories from Prince George and Tacoma. He is at Nick_Kowalski on Twitter, Nick with a K. I'm Bakes Takes 84, Twitter, Instagram, everything. The podcast is at First and Now on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Have to squeeze in an episode. May have to squeeze one in later next week after you're back from all your excursions, but we will plan to be back with you soon. And we look forward to talking to you soon on First and Now.